Afternoon, government is also planning to reduce compensation of public sector employees by some 0.5% of GDP. This is contained in Ghana's conditionalities in its three-year program with the International Monetary Fund. The goal is to achieve fiscal discipline and also return the country to economic growth. The document also says wages of public sector workers will be calibrated in a way to ensure a balance between the burden sharing, productivity, and the capacity actually to pay. Isaac Kofi is still with us, and a lot of conditionalities, I must say. Some say this is our own doing. We stated our intent, and the IMF is helping us on that path of economic recovery. But when it comes to the public sector, it's very often a challenge. So how do we strike the balance? And what's been the detail in the document about efficiency and ensuring that we get value for money in terms of what we pay for?
Well, this is relatively different from what we actually did in 2015, where in 2015 we actually placed a net freeze on our wage bill or on the public sector employment. It simply means that in 2015 we were only employing when there's the need, when there's vacancy. But this time around, it's been made clear that there's not going to be any freeze, whether complete freeze or net freeze, on the public sector employment or wage bill. However, what we are going to do is that we are actually going to reduce the wage bill by 0.5% of GDP. If you compute the how do you call it, the value itself, in the IMF documents, they pegged our nominal GDP around about 600 billion, right. Ghana cedis. So if you do the computation, it means that we are going to reduce the wage bill by a little more than 300 million Ghana cedis. You ask yourself, 300 million Ghana cedis is simply not enough, because if you convert it to dollars, you'll be shocked. It's around $30 million. So $30 million, although this time is necessary, is needed, but it's not really significant, because already, if you check the data, the compensation of employees, checking various budget documents, right from 2022 to 2023, has actually gone up by close to 19%, moved from 37.9% billion Ghana cedis to now 44 billion cedis. So clearly, the wage bill actually went up before government even decided to consider bringing it down by that 0.5 percentage point.
So insignificant figure, you say?
Well, I'll be careful to use that word, but I think it's still some cost-saving mechanism. But we need to actually do more in the sense that this time around the problem is not only your local currency, but also your the external or the exchange rate as well. So if you are saving a lot, just like what we are trying to do with the IPPs, the reason why the IPPs, the whole talks have become a little bit like a headache is because we owe them in dollars. You get it? So it means if you're going to pay them, you need some dollars. And that's why the IMF is insisting that we reach an agreement.
And this is where we are likely to face another challenge, the issue about setting priorities. It may be a challenge for the government because there's no clear cut or cap, if I should use that term, on how you go about your employment. But you have your space limited.
Well, so there's an issue of burden sharing where government feels that the 30% cut in the president's salary and other people and other things they've done, saving the wage bill about 300 million Ghana cedis is enough. But if you compare it to what we did in 2015, I still feel that I have no idea. I do not understand why. I do not
as compared to what's happening.
I don't understand why we don't have the freeze. Probably because of the agreement government reached with Labour. Remember, Labour was asking for 60% rise.
Then it was slashed
to 30. One of the conditions at the negotiation table was that government employ fresh people into the labour force. So I feel those were some of the reasons why they could not agree on a complete or a net freeze on public sector. But as we speak now, the wage bill is so high, close to 45 billion.
It's saturated, if we can describe it that way. In terms of prospective employment, what's likely to happen in terms of looking at the adjustment, the predictions, and situating the 0.5% into government's fiscal space? That could provide the opportunity for government to employ more.
Well, so it's unfortunate that there's no clause,
expressly limiting that.
Explicitly compelling government not to employ. It's unfortunate that we don't have such a clause in there where we are only hoping to reduce wage bill by 0.5% of GDP. It simply means that going forward, governments will still have the room to employ, but I'm sure they will also consider so many things before, if they want to increase the wage bill, they do. But as we speak now, the wage bill is still high, and I feel that the 0.5% reduction in terms of GDP, we could do more if we look at other avenues.
Isaac, thank you.